Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. White House issues clarification to its new H1B visa policy. Says new fee applicable for fresh applications, not for existing holders. US President Trump issues stern warning to Afghanistan. Says bad things going to happen if Bagram airbase not returned. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal to visit US on September 22nd to take forward trade deal talks. And in Asia Cup, an unstoppable India all set to take on Pakistan in Super Force clash at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium on Sunday. Amid the confusion and panic caused by the new proclamation for H1B visa, the White House has issued an official clarification on Saturday. In a social media post, White House press secretary clarified that the $100,000 fee will be a one-time payment imposed only on new applicants. She further wrote, those who already hold H1B visas and are currently outside the country right now will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. H1B visa holders can leave and re-enter the country to the same extent as they normally would. Whatever ability they have to do that is not impacted by Friday's proclamation. White House press secretary also stated that the new rule applies only to new visas, not renewals and not current visa holders. She said it will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle. The executive order, which is likely to face legal challenges, comes into force Sunday at 12:01 a.m. US Eastern Time, that's 4:01 GMT. And India's Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that this measure is likely to have humanitarian consequences by way of the disruption caused for families. The official spokesperson in statement said that the government has seen reports related to the proposed restrictions on the US H1B visa program. The full implications of the measure are being studied by all concerned, including by Indian industry, which has already put out an initial analysis clarifying some perceptions related to the H1B program. Industry in both India and the US has a stake in innovation and creativity and can be expected to consult on the best path forward. Skilled talent mobility and exchanges have contributed enormously to technology development, innovation, economic growth, competitiveness and wealth creation in the United States and India. Policymakers will therefore assess recent steps taking into account mutual benefits, which include strong people-to-people ties between the two countries. This measure is likely to have humanitarian consequences by way of the disruption caused for families. Government hopes that these disruptions can be addressed suitably by the US authorities. All right, let's understand what the H1B visa is. The H1B program primarily benefits highly skilled foreign professionals working in technology, engineering, healthcare, research and other specialized fields. H1B visa is a temporary US work visa that allows companies to hire foreign professionals with specialized skills. The visa is initially granted for 3 years but can be extended to a maximum of 6 years. The H1B program offers 65,000 visas annually to employers, bringing in temporary foreign workers in specialized fields with another 20,000 visas for workers with advanced degrees. Nearly all the visa fees have to be paid by the employers. US President Donald Trump threatened Afghanistan if it does not give back control of the Bagram airbase to the United States. Trump in a social media post demanded that Afghanistan return control of Bagram airbase to Washington, warning that the Taliban government that bad things are going to happen if they did not comply with his demand.
We won't talk about that. But we're talking now to Afghanistan, and we want it back, and we want it back soon, right away. And if they don't do it, you're going to find out what I'm going to do.
Trump has repeatedly indicated that he would have kept control of the airbase given its strategic importance near the border between Afghanistan and China. A few days ago, during his visit to London, Trump stated that the US is trying to regain control of the airbase used by American forces following the attacks of September 11, 2001. He told reporters that he was speaking with Afghanistan about it. Bagram Air Base is currently under the control of the Taliban government after the US troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021. US President Donald Trump warned the Venezuelan government that it must accept the return of all prisoners whom he said Venezuela had forced into the US. Trump issued the threat in a post on his Truth Social platform. He did not elaborate on which prisoners he was referring to, except to say that some were people from mental institutions. He also did not specify what action he might take. Venezuela on Friday accused the United States of waging an undeclared war in the Caribbean and called for a UN probe of American strikes that have killed over a dozen alleged drug traffickers on boats in recent weeks. Washington has also deployed warships to international waters off Venezuela's coast, backed by F-35 fighters sent to Puerto Rico in what it calls an anti-drug operation. Venezuelan military forces drove armored vehicles and conducted weapons training for civilians in Caracas as tensions with the United States escalated over a US military buildup in the Caribbean and recent attacks on Venezuelan vessels. The US has accused Venezuela of harboring drug traffickers and imposed sanctions, while Maduro has repeatedly claimed Washington seeks his removal. Ahead of annual United Nations General Assembly session on Monday in New York, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is expected to announce the UK's recognition of a Palestinian state on Sunday. The move comes after Starmer in July said the UK would shift its position in September unless Israel met conditions, including agreeing to a ceasefire in Gaza and committing to a long-term sustainable peace deal that delivers a two-state solution. The move has drawn fierce criticism from the Israeli government and hostage families. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu previously said such a move rewards terror. However, UK ministers argue there was moral responsibility to act to keep the hope of a long-term peace deal alive. Many Western countries like France, the UK, Canada and Australia have announced that they will recognize the Palestinian state during the week of the 80th UN General Assembly session that begins on September 22nd. 147 countries out of 193 members of the United Nations already recognized a Palestinian state, which currently has observer status at the UN. The moves by France and Britain would leave the US as the only permanent member of the Security Council that does not recognize a Palestinian state. And Portugal will officially recognize a Palestinian state on Sunday. The Portuguese Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Friday confirmed in a statement that Portugal's parliament and president have recognized Palestine's statehood, and its government will announce the official recognition on Sunday. Several other European states, including Spain, Ireland and Norway, recognized a Palestinian state last year. Among the 32 NATO countries, 14 have recognized a Palestinian state. Meanwhile, Israelis in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv gathered over the weekend to call for an end to Gaza conflict and the return of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Protesters waved flags, chanted slogans and carried banners bearing photographs of hostages. A total of 48 of the hostages remain in Gaza and around 20 are believed to be alive.
715 ימים. אני כאן להזכיר
Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani has left for New York to participate in an upcoming meeting of the United Nations General Assembly on Sunday. World leaders are gathering in New York as the Israel-Hamas conflict in the Gaza Strip approaches 2 years. A humanitarian crisis is worsening in the Palestinian enclave, where a global hunger monitor has warned that famine has taken hold and is likely to spread by the end of the month. Supporters of conservative activist Charlie Kirk gathered outside Turning Point USA headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona on Saturday to honor his memory by laying flowers, writing messages on crosses and praying. Mourners included former student leaders and young activists who said they felt compelled to carry on Kirk's political mission. According to the local reports, his memorial service at State Farm Stadium in city of Glendale is expected to draw thousands of his supporters as well as US President Donald Trump, Kirk's widow Erica and more than half dozen top Trump administration officials. Kirk, the 31-year-old co-founder of Turning Point USA, was shot and killed as he spoke at an event at Utah Valley University on September 10th. And still to come on DD India Newshour. Iran warns to suspend IAEA cooperation. We will tell you about protests in France over a project to build a facility to store highly radioactive nuclear waste. How do you feel seeing inflatable versions of Doraemon and Labubu? Stay with us, we'll tell you about it.
Goa, an adventure paradise like none other. From lush forests to rugged hills, from pristine ocean beach stretches to stunning lakes, there is something to explore in every corner of the state. And some adventures are wilder than others. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome to Haryana, where the indomitable spirit of humanity unites. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Iran's top security body announced that action by Britain, France and Germany to reimpose UN sanctions will effectively suspend its cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. The announcement comes after the Security Council voted on Friday to reimpose frozen UN sanctions after the European governments activated the snapback mechanism in a decade-old nuclear agreement, accusing Iran of non-compliance. The vote means that the sanctions, which were suspended in return for curbs on Iran's nuclear activities set out in a 2015 deal, will take renewed effect on September 28 unless Iran can persuade the Council to relent in the next week. Earlier this month, Iran and the IAEA reached an agreement in Cairo that would have allowed inspections of Iranian nuclear sites to resume. Iran had suspended them after Israel and the United States attacked its nuclear facilities in June. Estonia said 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets entered its airspace for about 12 minutes. Russia's defense ministry issued a statement asserting that the flight was a scheduled redeployment. However, Estonia is the third NATO country that has been provoked by these incursions, prompting Estonia, Poland and Romania to call for Article 4 NATO consultations. They are scheduled for next week. More in this report.
Russia is testing NATO's resolve. 3 MiG-31s violated Estonian airspace for 12 minutes. No flight plans, transponders off, no radio contact. NATO will meet next week to assess. Days earlier, Poland downed Russian drones. Romania reported similar breaches. Both invoked Article 4, triggering urgent NATO consultations over security threats.
What happened on Wednesday was not an isolated incident. Russia's recklessness in the air along our eastern flank is increasing in frequency. We have seen drones violate our airspace in Romania, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. Whether intentional or not, it is dangerous and unacceptable.
These incursions are not random. Estonia's leadership believes Russia is trying to distract NATO from Ukraine by forcing member states to focus on defending their own borders. NATO's rapid response, scrambling jets from Italy, Finland and Sweden, shows operational readiness. But the real test is political cohesion. Will all 32 members stand firm if provocations escalate?
They are increasingly more dangerous not only to Ukraine but also to all the countries around Russia, and therefore our answer is to have more pressure so that also Russia would want peace and come to the negotiation table to discuss this and restrain itself.
This is how Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sees it. He called the violations part of a deliberate and expanding campaign to destabilize Europe and the West and urged strong collective and individual responses, emphasizing sanctions and support for Ukraine's military as key tools, while thanking NATO for their help. Let's provide more context. The Zapad 2025 drills, held by Russia and Belarus just a week ago, showcased evolving military strategy, including tactical nuclear rehearsals and the Oreshnik hypersonic missile. Belarus's president Lukashenko confirmed testing from small arms to nukes, while Moscow claimed the exercises weren't directed at anyone. Interestingly, the Zapad 2025 exercises were observed on the ground by 3 NATO countries, the United States, Turkey and Hungary. Bureau Report, DD India.
British fighter jets have conducted a NATO air defense mission over Poland as part of an allied response to Russian drone incursions into Polish airspace. The RAF Typhoon jets were deployed over Poland on Friday and in fact Friday night as part of the military alliance's mission to bolster its eastern flank. 2 Royal Air Force Typhoons took off from a British military base in eastern England on Friday night to patrol Polish skies and deter and defend against aerial threats from Russia, including drones. The jets returned safely to the UK early on Saturday morning. The mission announced on Monday by the UK government in the immediate aftermath of the incursions into Polish airspace sends a clear signal. NATO airspace will be defended. Tensions have escalated following repeated Russian violations of NATO members' airspace this month, with a drone detected over Romania and then warplanes in Estonia's airspace following the incursions into Poland. Russia has denied the violations. Ukraine's Air Force released video on Saturday claiming to show F-16 fighter jets and mobile defense units shooting down drones from the skies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia had unleashed a major drone and missile attack on Ukraine overnight, killing 3 people, injuring dozens more, and damaging infrastructure and residential buildings. According to the officials, air defenses shot down 552 of the drones and 31 missiles. Ukraine typically responds with drone strikes of its own, aiming to reach deeper into the Russian territory, hitting refineries, fuel depots and logistics hubs. Meanwhile, President Zelensky on Saturday expects the United States to impose strong sanctions on Russia a day after the European Union presented its 19th sanctions package on Moscow.
This week brought us closer to finalizing the 19th sanctions package against Russian aggression. We expect its approval soon. We will quickly synchronize the package in Ukraine. Precious energy resources are being restricted. The infrastructure of the shadow fleet will face new pressure. Cryptocurrency schemes used by Russia to bypass sanctions will also be countered by Europe. I am grateful that many of Ukraine's proposals have been taken into account in the EU sanction package.
4 years after the military seized power, Guineans will finally vote on Sunday on a new draft constitution that would pave the way for elections but also permit the country's junta leader to run for president in a referendum boycotted by the opposition. The vote, which Guineans and the international community have been awaiting for years, opens the way for stalled political elections in the West African nation. The country has been ruled with an iron fist by junta chief General Mamadi Doumbouya since he overthrew elected civilian president Alpha Condé in 2021. And protests broke out between anti-migration protesters and Dutch police in The Hague on Saturday. Thousands of people had joined a protest organized by a right-wing activist in demand of stricter migration policies and a clampdown on asylum seekers just over a month before a national election. A police car was set on fire and a group of protesters briefly blocked the highway near the site of the demonstration. Well, protests are also going on in France. A project to build a facility to store highly radioactive nuclear waste in the French countryside drew a protest by hundreds of people on Saturday, with police firing tear gas to break up rowdy demonstrators. The project, known as Industrial Center for Geological Disposal, is meant to build an underground storage center outside the northeastern village of Bure to bury the most dangerous waste from nuclear power plants and hold it for hundreds of thousands of years. People took to the streets in Bure to protest the plan by the National Agency for Radioactive Waste Management. The CIGEO project, launched in 1991, has been contested for decades. Construction is currently expected to start in late 2027 or early 2028. Also in Peru, hundreds of protesters, mostly youngsters, clashed with police in Lima after demonstrations against President Dina Boluarte's government turned violent. Police used tear gas and shields to push back crowds in Plaza San Martin, where protesters had gathered to reject recent pension reforms and decry rising crime rates. The so-called Generation G March was organized by students and activists who accused the government of failing to address insecurity and economic precarity while using excessive force during past protests. The demonstrations come as Boluarte's administration faces ongoing criticism for its handling of public security and economic policies, with similar protests expected to continue on Sunday. And protests are also going on in Canada. About 2,000 activists rallied and marched in Toronto on Saturday in nationwide protests against Prime Minister Mark Carney's policies on climate, migrants and Indigenous rights. Protesters criticized the Bill C5, the One Canadian Economy Act passed in June, which fast-tracks major infrastructure projects deemed in the national interest. Critics say it bypasses environmental rules and Indigenous rights. They also opposed plans federal spending cuts alongside higher military spending. Similar protests were planned in Ottawa, Montreal, Vancouver and elsewhere in Canada. Thousands of Filipinos gathered in Manila to express their anger over a ballooning scandal involving bogus flood control projects believed to have cost taxpayers billions of dollars. Rage over the so-called ghost infrastructure projects has been mounting in the Southeast Asian country since President Ferdinand Marcos put them center stage in a July State of the Nation address that followed weeks of deadly flooding. On Monday, Marcos said he did not blame people for protesting one bit while calling for demonstrations to remain peaceful. The army has been placed on the red alert as a precaution. The Philippines has a long history of scandals involving public funds in which high-ranking politicians found guilty of corruption have typically escaped serious jail crime. All right, now let's take you to Hong Kong. Typhoon Ragasa continued to intensify over the weekend in the Western Pacific, raising concerns that some communities in Southeast Asia could face a super typhoon over the next week. The cyclone, known in the Philippines as Nando, reached typhoon status on Saturday and was expected to reach the equivalent of Category 4 hurricane by the start of the work week. The worst of the weather was expected to stay south of Taiwan, but clip of the the northern Philippines. Typhoon Ragasa is also forecasted to bring severe weather to Hong Kong in offshore and highland areas on Wednesday. By the end of the upcoming work week, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center expects the system's final landfall to occur somewhere west of Hong Kong, and due to its slow forward movement, it may produce several feet of rainfall over countries such as Vietnam and Laos. And let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The Metropolitan Opera opened its season with a new production titled The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, based on Michael Chabon's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel. The opera tells the story of a Jewish refugee escaping Nazi-occupied Prague. With themes of immigration, resistance and artistic freedom, the production blends symphonic and electronic music, animation and bold visuals. It marks the Metropolitan's first opera centered around a comic book hero, reflecting timely questions about history, identity and hope. Inflatable versions of beloved characters Doraemon and Labubu will take center stage in vibrant sea parade at Hong Kong's Victoria Harbour this October. The event is organized by design studio All Rights Reserved and McDonald's Grimace. The 8-day exhibition will run from October 25th to November 1st, attracting both local and international visitors. Alongside the parade, a themed bazaar will be held at Tamar Park, featuring characters from Snoopy, Demon Hunters, Stranger Things 5 and Squid Games. Rwanda is set to make history as the first African nation to host the Cycling World Championships, welcoming 5,000 cyclists and 20,000 spectators on Sunday. The event is part of Rwanda's push to reshape its global image through major sporting investments. Many view it as a step toward greater international visibility. The event has sparked curiosity, also raising concerns over traffic disruptions in Rwanda's capital, Kigali. Vietnamese singer Duc Phuc won Russia's Intervision International Song Contest held in Moscow region on Saturday. The event featured singers from 23 countries including China, India and Brazil competing for a cash prize of 30 million rubles. According to the organizers, Intervision promotes traditional, universal and family values. The next Intervision will be held in Saudi Arabia. And still to come on DD India Newshour. India signs agreement with the International Seabed Authority. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to visit Morocco. Stay tuned for more updates. International Day of Peace is observed every year on September 21st. We will tell you more about it. You stay tuned, don't go anywhere.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj and a quick recap of headlines. White House issues clarification to its new H1B visa policy, says new fee applicable for fresh applications, not for existing holders. US President Trump issues stern warning to Afghanistan, says bad things going to happen if Bagram airbase not returned. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal to visit US on September 22nd to take forward trade deal talks. And in Asia Cup, an unstoppable India all set to take on Pakistan in Super Force clash at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium on Sunday. Empowering the youth of India has been a key priority for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. From overhauling the education policy to visionary reforms like Startup India, Skill India and opportunities in their creative economy, India's youth power is seen as a critical stakeholder in future of the nation.
India is driven by youth power. Prime Minister Narendra Modi recognized this untapped potential early and gave a new direction to the nation's youth. In the past 11 years, reforms and programs by the Modi government have empowered the youth at every level and in every sector. Skill India created new opportunities. Startup India gave new wings. National education policy expanded the horizon of learning, and Digital India ushered in global competitiveness. Education and skill development has witnessed revolutionary changes in India. National education policy has connected students to coding, AI, robotics, and out-of-the-box thinking. Skill India has imparted necessary skills to millions of youth and made them ready for jobs and self-employment. Over 1.6 crore youth have been trained in diverse skill sets. India's foray into the world of innovation and technology is today led by the dynamic startups. Indian youth is transitioning from being a job seeker to a job creator. There are over 150,000 startups in India today. These dynamic startups have created over 17 lakh jobs. Startup India has elevated India to the third largest startup ecosystem in the world.
We had been exploring drones much before, but the moment of clarity and conviction came in 2022, when our Prime Minister Modi ji spoke about his dream of making India the global drone hub by 2030. That inspiration gave birth to our company Drone Anatomy. We formally structured the company, raised investments and availed startup schemes, and began to scale with confidence. What truly enabled this journey was the ecosystem that had been built.
Phone, camera and internet have become the new tools of creativity and employment for the youth. Rise of orange economy or creative economy, where thousands of youngsters are gaining global recognition through YouTube, gaming and podcasting. Today, India is home to 2 to 2.5 million active digital creators. Special incubation centers have been created to promote digital talent in the AVGC sector. Platforms like Wave Summit connected India's digital talent to the world.
भारत सरकार द्वारा $1 अरब के
Government of India has introduced a $1 billion fund to help content creators with the right hardware, training and skill development so that content creators of today and future can take it up as a mainstream profession.
एक प्रोफेशन के रूप में देख पाएं।
Today, youth of India is playing an active role in nation building. They are equal stakeholders in its development journey. They have the tools, technology, and the training to take India to its rightful place in the world.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Arunachal Pradesh and Tripura on 22nd of September. He will lay the foundation stone of multiple development projects worth over rupees 5,100 crore at Itanagar. Thereafter, he will visit Tripura and perform puja and darshan and inaugurate development work of Mata Tripura Sundari Temple Complex at Matabari. It is one of the ancient 51 Shakti Peeths located in Udaipur town of Gomati district in Tripura. A high-level delegation led by Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal will visit the United States on September 22nd to hold discussions on India-US trade deal. The delegation aims to advance ongoing trade negotiations and works towards the early conclusion of a mutually beneficial trade agreement between the two countries. The discussions expected to be focused on strengthening bilateral trade, investment and economic cooperation across all sectors. During the last visit of the team of officials from the Office of United States Trade Representative to India on 16th of September, positive discussions were held on various aspects of the trade deal and it was decided to intensify efforts in this regard. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to undertake a two-day official visit to Morocco from September 22nd. Sharing a post on X, the minister wrote, and I quote, "Tomorrow, 21st of September, I shall be in Morocco. There is a growing strategic convergence between India and Morocco. Looking forward to further strengthen the growing relationship. During my visit, I will hold a bilateral meeting with my counterpart Abdelatif Ludiyi. A key highlight of the visit will be the inauguration of Tata Advanced Systems, Morocco's new manufacturing facility for the wheeled armoured platform 8x8 at Bereshit. This facility is the first ever Indian defence manufacturing plant in Africa, which marks an important milestone that reflects the growing global footprint of India's defence industry. I will also interact with the Indian community in Rabat." Unquote. Ties between India and Morocco have gained momentum since His Majesty King Mohammed VI meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2015 in India. The upcoming visit is expected to add fresh energy to this partnership, particularly in the defence and strategic sectors. India has signed a 15-year agreement with the International Seabed Authority, granting it exclusive rights to explore polymetallic sulfides in a 10,000 square kilometer block of the Carlsberg Ridge in the Indian Ocean. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh announced that with this, India becomes the first country in the world to hold two contracts with International Seabed Authority for PMS exploration, reaffirming its pioneering role in deep-sea resource exploration and its strategic presence in the Indian Ocean. India also becomes the first country to be designated as a pioneer investor. Deep Ocean Mission, launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, focuses on seabed mineral exploration, mining technology development, thus strengthening India's blue economy initiatives. The Sapta Shakti Command of the Indian Army conducted a major integrated firepower exercise codenamed Amog Fury at the Mahajan field firing ranges in the Thar Desert of Rajasthan. The aim of Amog Fury was to test combat power, coordination and operational readiness in real-time battle scenarios. The exercise demonstrated the Indian Army's combat readiness through coordinated maneuvers involving tanks, helicopters, artillery and drones. It tested real-time operational capabilities, troop insertion and seamless coordination among various combat arms. Advanced technologies including real-time surveillance and network-centric systems were extensively employed. The drill underscored the Indian Army's preparedness for multi-domain warfare and joint operations. International Day of Peace is observed every year on September 21, a day dedicated to strengthening the ideals of peace across nations. India With its civilizational ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, has always played a leading role in the global quest for peace.
From the days of the non-aligned movement to today's multilateral diplomacy, India has consistently championed dialogue over confrontation. In global crisis, from the Ukraine conflict to the humanitarian tragedy in Gaza, New Delhi has stood firm on the principle that peace cannot be achieved through violence, but only through dialogue and diplomacy. The world's largest democracy is also one of the largest contributor of troops to United Nations peacekeeping missions. Over 2 lakh Indian soldiers have served in UN operations across the globe. In 2007, India created history by deploying the world's first all-women contingent of police officers to Liberia, a symbol of empowerment and peacekeeping combined. Even today, over 5,000 blue helmets from India serve in various countries around the globe. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, India's role in shaping a peaceful world has only grown stronger. From calling for cessation of hostilities in Ukraine to delivering humanitarian aid in conflict zones to emphasizing dialogue in Gaza, India has emerged as a voice of reason, balance and compassion. This spirit was reflected in the New Delhi G20 declaration, where India brought together divergent voices on the Ukraine issue and emphasized the part of diplomacy. On this International Day of Peace, India's message resonates with Mahatma Gandhi's timeless philosophy of non-violence, that peace is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of justice, compassion and humanity. As the world grapples with conflicts and crisis, India continues to stand as a beacon of peace, reminding humanity that dialogue, cooperation and mutual respect are the only way forward for global peace and prosperity. Akshay Dongre's report for DD India.
Marking the beginning of Durga Puja and Navratri celebrations, Mahalaya, also known as Mahalaya Amavasya, is being celebrated across India today. This day marks the end of Pitru Paksh period, when Hindus pay homage to their ancestors, and marks the beginning of the homecoming of goddess Durga. It signifies the transition from honoring ancestors to the festive period leading up to Durga Puja. One of the most significant rituals associated with Mahalaya is the painting of the eyes of goddess Durga, which officially kickstarts the 9-day-long Durga Puja rituals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday wished the nation on the occasion of Mahalaya. Taking to X, PM Modi said, and I quote, "Wishing you all Shubho Mahalaya. As the sacred days of Durga Puja draw near, may our lives be filled with light and purpose. May the divine blessings of Ma Durga bring unwavering strength, lasting joy and wonderful health." Let's take a look at other stories making news. The 41 Pali Club Durga Puja committees in West Bengal's capital Kolkata has unveiled a stunning 3D architectural canvas pandal this year. The pandal uniquely blends tradition with modern technology, featuring a towering 30-foot robot, augmented reality and captivating laser and light shows. This innovative design has attracted large crowds, highlighting creativity and cultural pride. The mortal remains of popular Assamese singer Zubeen Garg have arrived in India from Singapore. Assam's Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma and Union Minister Pabitra Margarita received the body in Delhi, and it is now being taken to Guwahati for further rites. Zubeen's remains will be kept at the Arjun Bhogeshwar Barua Sports Complex in Guwahati on Sunday for fans and well-wishers to pay their respects. Large crowds have gathered outside his residence, hoping for a final glimpse of the beloved singer. Now it's time for some updates from Busan International Film Festival 2025. India's creative economy is set to shine at Asia's prestigious Busan International Film Festival 2025 in South Korea. Showcasing its strongest ever lineup of films, India is also represented for the first time by a ministerial delegation led by MOS Dr. L. Murugan. At the Asian Contents and Film Market, the Bharat Pavilion was inaugurated on Saturday. Dear India correspondent Jaya Sena speak up to Ms. Agnieszka Moody, Head of International and Industry Policy, British Film Institute at the Busan International Film Festival. Listen in.
We are joined by Agnieszka Modi. She's from BFI, popularly known as, she's from British Film Institute. Agnieszka, tell us, welcome to Bharat Pavilion. First, I want to ask about, we have long ties with BFI, this British Film Institute. We have seen a lot of film productions and co-productions. How do you think India's participation here at Busan Film Festival, and what one thing which excites you about Indian films and Indian culture?
Well, it's obviously another sign of times. We can hear loud and clear that India is ready for international collaboration. That was manifested to the international filmmaking community in Mumbai earlier this year at Waves. And the presence here in Busan is absolutely validating that same strategy, which we very much welcome in the UK, because we would like collaboration with India to flourish and grow. And we have been working with our partners at NFDC to stimulate that and to connect our filmmakers and see more production being done together. It's a major industry, very big market, which potentially until now has been quite sort of satisfied with itself. If you have your own audience at that scale and size, you perhaps need the international market a bit less. However, now we can see that India has noticed that opportunity and is keen to work with other countries, which we very much welcome.
What do you think about one thing which you're looking forward to, about making more co-productions and more of storytelling from India, more of working with Indian producers and Indian directors?
Well, it is about those universal themes and stories that will be aimed for beyond the local audiences, because we all know that Bollywood is great, but it's specific to India, right? It's most appreciated in India. Whereas what we can see now is this kind of, we call it independent sector in India, that is more internationally focused, and that is where the collaboration will happen.
So India and UK have seen participation and co-production at many levels, and this is another feather where India and British are looking for more co-productions. And as Mrs. Moody mentioned, that we're looking forward to the independent filmmakers which are more internationally focused and bring a new wave in Indian content telling. With camera person Shiva, this is Jaya Sinha reporting from Busan for DD India.
And DD India's Jaya Sinha joins us from Busan. Jaya, hi, very good morning. How's it going on at Asia's biggest film festival, Jaya? You must be watching films from different genres every day, seeing stars. What's the environment there like?
Yes, absolutely. The atmosphere here in Busan is electric. Asia's biggest film festival truly feels like a celebration of cinema. From morning screenings to red carpets in the evening, there's a mix of glamour, serious storytelling and cultural exchange. You see audiences queuing up for world cinema, filmmakers, networking and an energy that reflects Busan's status as Asia's creative capital this week. And I'm covering the Asia's content film market extensively. So here we see new technologies, new contents being showcased. Right now I'm at the ACFM and you can see there's a Korean pavilion here right now, and we can see AI content pavilion. You know, there are a lot of Korean pavilions here at the Asian content film market, but this pavilion is specially dedicated to the AI content they are showcasing right now, because as we know that Korea is leading in innovations and technology trends. And what is that AI content which is trending right now in film industry, and especially Korean film industry are being showcased here.
All right, Jaya, we leave it there as of now. Thank you so much. And you're watching DD India News. Our time now for sport. The highly anticipated rematch between India and Pakistan in the Men's T20 Asia Cup 2025 is just around the corner. The Super Fours clash will take place at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium on Sunday at 8 p.m. IST. Abhishek Mahajan reports from Dubai.
The iconic India-Pakistan rivalry is set to resume in the Super 4 stage of the Asia Cup at the Dubai International Stadium on Sunday. However, much of the spotlight has been on events off the field, particularly involving match referee Andy Pycroft. But he will once again serve as the match referee in the India-Pakistan game. Despite the noise, Indian captain Surya Kumar Yadav reiterated that his teams remain fully focused on the game.
I feel our preparations have been really good leading into the tournament, and we had 3 good games also. So but we are actually focusing on what we can do best, and as I said on the toss as well, that we want to follow all the good habits which we've been doing in the last 2-3 games, and we'll take one game at a time.
He downplayed any suggestion that India holds an edge after beating Pakistan earlier in the tournament. The Indians were comfortable with experimenting in their final group stage game and came out victorious even as Oman ran them close, with some positives in players getting game time out in the middle.
I think focus was always on the game in all the 3 games which we played. It was never changed from that, and I think everyone has got enough time in the middle with the ball, with the bat, going into Super Force, and I'm sure two other teams who are also coming from other group will also be pumped up, and we are also excited to play them.
While Pakistan have made it through to the Super Force, there are major causes for concern with their batting. They have failed to fire so far.
Alright, so it's a big one once again. India taking on Pakistan in the first match of the Super 4 encounter. Stakes are higher, pressure is greater, and another thriller is on the cards. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Dubai for DD India.
And my colleague Abhishek Mahajan joins me from Dubai. Hi Abhishek, a very good morning. Abhishek, when we talk about India versus Pakistan clash, there's a lot of excitement involved. Given that India is unbeaten in this tournament, what's your assessment of this blockbuster encounter, Abhishek?
Yes, Siddharth, you are right. India has been unbeaten in the tournament, and they have been exceptional. There has been a huge gulf between India and other teams. Yes, we can say that Oman gave a good competition to India, but India had different plans. Some are also saying that India were too complacent with Surya Kumar Yadav not coming into bat. India also giving very part-timers also having a go against Oman. But yes, I think excuse me, there will be changes. Varun Chakravarti and Jasprit Bumrah will again come back to the playing 11. And Pakistan, they have not been doing well against spin. India completely derailed Pakistan 6 for 60 in the first game, in the league stage game when they played against each other. But yes, Pakistan need to do a lot of improvement. There have been no spirited performances. Off the field also, they have been very chaotic. Mohsin Naqvi, ACC chairman, PCB chairman, was there. He spoke to the Pakistani players at the net session also. And when we were trying to speak to him, he was saying that we'll tell you soon that why Pakistan has not been holding, not doing their press conference, and why Pakistan is involved in all these things. So he said that I'll answer all your questions, but not now. Maybe after the tournament. But yes, there was a huge gulf. There was no match between India and Pakistan in the previous game. Pakistan would want to do well, and lot will depend on the opener Sam Ayub, who hasn't scored a run in the last 3 innings. He is doing exceptionally well with the bowling, and also a lot will depend on Shaheen Shah Afridi also. If they want to do well, these 2 players will be very important, Siddharth.
Definitely. Abhishek, but for a fact, Pakistan, they don't have a strong team as of now. But also, apart from everything, Abhishek, how's the mood like in Dubai before the clash? We saw some of your reports. We saw you talking to the fans. They were really, really excited. The men in blue, they were cheering for men in blue. But how's the environment there ahead of the clash?
Yes, it's an iconic rivalry between India and Pakistan, and yes, both teams, we need to believe that, they have already played one match. There's a rematch today, and they might, if everything goes well, they might also meet in the final. So fans are excited. They are excited to watch India versus Pakistan encounter today. We spoke to some of the fans, and they are saying that there have been off-field issues, but eventually they want to see good cricket on the field, which Pakistan and India, there has been, like I said, there has been a huge mismatch between both the teams. Fans said that we want to see good competition. They are not concerned about the off-field issues. I mean, they are not concerned about whether Andy Pycroft officiates or not. They are concerned about good cricket, and that's what cricket fan wants also, Siddharth.
But Abhishek, we also hope that you are having a gala time there in Dubai, and lucky are those who get to see India versus Pakistan live. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there, Abhishek. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.